Om Nilambujashyamalkomalangam Sita Samaropitavamabhagam Panau Maha Sayakacharu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Adorations to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side and he is carrying a powerful bow and arrow in his hands. Sri Ramacharitamanasa, well known as the Ramayana by Goswami Tulsidas, Balakanda, verse number 107. Remember, Lord Shiva is under the mystic tree, the banyan tree, and Parvati Devi has approached Shiva with eager aspiration to listen to the story of Rama. That's the setting. And remember all that has gone on in the past. Parvati Devi is the transformed aspect of Sati Devi. Sati was daughter of Daksha. Daksha represented ego. When you start studying scriptures, your intellect starts working. But intellect in the early stage is Daksha's daughter. But as love of God increases, Daksha's daughter does not obey Daksha. Your intellect moves away from the domination of ego. An ego receives a big blow. Its head is knocked off. And goes the head is put on it. All that story has gone on already. That Sati now, in Daksha's time, allows herself to be burnt up by the fire of knowledge. And she is born as daughter of Himachal. Himachal represents potentiality of wisdom, the biggest mountain with eternal snows. Snows relate to purity. And as Parvati, she has married Shiva. As Sati, just reminding of the story, how she wanted to test Rama. And it was that episode that brought about the story of Sati's allowing herself to be consumed by fire and to be born as Parvati. Because Shiva would not accept that Sati anymore as his beloved wife in a storyline. Your soul has the potentiality of Shiva. And your intellect has the potentiality of Parvati. But let's move on into the story. Shiva and Parvati have already married, and as a result of the marriage, Subramanya and Ganesha, his sons, came to exist. Ganesha is first worshipped God. Subramanya, the general of the divine army. and they brought about destruction of demons. Lord Shiva himself destroyed Tripurasur, a demon that existed in three forms. All that I'm not entering into at this time, but all that is symbolic of knowledge destroying ignorance. Shiva is the embodiment of knowledge, and Parvati is intuitive knowledge, Vivek Buddhi. When your intellect begins to develop a purification, it's known as a mati. If it is not purified, it is kumati. When it becomes purified, called sumati. And one of the biggest prayer for coming from a very profound, generous heart is Sabko Sanamati De Bhagavan. O God, give Sanamati, mati that moves towards Sat. And if that's the greatest blessing you can give to yourself and to anybody else. Now coming to this storyline, Parvati Devi is expressing her desire to listen to Rama's story. Jasu bhavanu surataru taradhoyi sahiki daridra jadite dukh soyi Shashibhushana asahridaya vichari harahunath mama atmati brahmabhari. One who abides under a kalpaka tree, why should he suffer from poverty? Daridra janit dukh. Reading the Ramayana, people generally focus on what the story is going to come. Who cares for what tree, etc. But each statement has very profound implication. This applies to everyone. Jasu bhavan sur taru tar hoi. You exist under the umbrella of Satchidananda. Everything in you has proceeded from Brahman. God is the reality of your personality. And yet, every soul in the state of ignorance experiences grief, sorrow, and goes through the process of birth and death, the disease of the world process. That's a great wonder. He who is under a kalpaka tree is a mystical tree that grants and fulfills all your desires, all that you have to sit under it and wish. But that's a storyline, that's allegorical. Implying, if you discover your essential nature, that is always you in the deepest level, if you discover it, all your desires will be fulfilled. You will not come back into the world for happiness. Happiness in the world is called alpam, little. It is fleeting, illusory, mirage-like. The absolute happiness is known as bhuma, infinite bliss. You will attain that infinite bliss. You have that power to attain it. As a human being, you have the special ability to attain realization. In animals and birds, that ability has become dominated by instinctive plane. So all those are like hospitalized souls. You will stay free and doing many things as you want, but not in a hospital. Souls that are in animal embodiments, they are like in a hospital. Nature has its own purpose to enable the souls to become fit again for human embodiment. But that's a big story. But as a human being, you are given a divine opportunity, and that opportunity should not be lost. And the opportunity is to attain enlightenment, and thereby to have absolute fulfillment of all desires forever. This being your reality, a big treasure is there within your reach. And yet, if you continue to grieve over tiny little things, continue to grieve over the drifting clouds, that is the janita dukkha. It's called karpanya dukkha. Karpanya translated as miserliness. That's what miserly people do. They have a lot of money, but they display as if they have nothing, because they are afraid their money will be taken away by others. Also, they become deluded. All the money is just to be kept, preserved, protected, and nothing to be used. All the money becomes the basis for a lot of worries and anxieties in the mind. So the more the money, the more the anxiety. That's called miserly life. Another level of miserliness to understand, you have all the resources and you are not utilizing them. Then you are a miserly person. Shashibhushana asa hirdaya vichari, O Lord Shiva, whose ornament is the moon, the crescent moon, decks the matted locks of Shiva. Shiva is therefore known as Shashibhushana. That subtle meaning we have given to you before. Moon waxes and wanes. But that type of moon is a mind that is conditioned by ignorance. But the mind that has become enlightened, it doesn't wax or wane. It rests on the crown of Lord Shiva, allegorical. That mind enjoys the eternal presence of God. No waxing or waning. The waxing of the moon means you are subjected to a lot of elation. Waning of the moon, you are subjected to a lot of depression and sorrow. Crescent moon, where you are neither elation nor depression. Absolute serenity. Everlasting serenity decks the crown of Lord Shiva. So he is known as Shashibhushana. Harahu natha matamati mamamati brahmabhari. O Lord, a heavy burden of delusion has come upon my intellect. Please remove this burden. Prabhu je muni paramarthvadi, kahi Rama kahu brahma anadi, shesha sarada veda purana, sakal karahi raghupati gunanana. O Lord, Parvati is addressing Lord Shiva. Those who are saints and sages, the knowers of Brahman, they describe Rama as Brahman, Anadi, beginningless, timeless. The great deities, Sheshanag, the cosmic serpent is symbolic of cosmic mind. Saraswati Devi, Vedas and Puranas, they all sing the glory of Rama. At this stage, you must also understand, reading this literally, there are scholars, they go into the Vedas to look for the word Rama. And they're frustrated. In the earliest Veda, even Om wasn't there. But don't get confused. Rama is the absolute self. So, all scriptures, they are focused on Rama. Not only Hindu scriptures, all scriptures, all religions, because God is one and absolute. That God is being described as Rama. And again, Rama term has a mantra effect, just like Om. The R term, R letter, is the Bijakshara of the navel center. Navel center is Karma Granthi, the knot of karma. That R letter of the Rama mantra removes the knot of karma and allows the Kundalini to ascend. M term is Amrita, nectar. Kundalini passes through heart center, Kama Granthi, the knot of desire, then goes through the Avidya Granthi at the Agya Chakra. Having destroyed 3 knots of the heart, now Brahma Gyan manifests as Sahasrara Chakra. That's the mystical meaning of Rama mantra. Ram, Ram. Even if you do not know the meaning, there's the mystic vibrations. R vibrates with awakening your energy. Rush, run. And M relates to Amrita, Ma, mother. Tum puni Rama Rama din rati, Sadara japahu ananga arati, Ram so avadha paripati sut ho choi, ki aj aguna alakh gati koi. O Lord, you are the destroyer of Kama, Ananga. That's the whole story of how Lord Shiva burns up Kama. And when Rati, Kama's wife, grieves over and prays to Shiva. Lord Shiva allows the Kama to exist without the body. Kama is called Ananga, without the body. Shiva turned Kama, desire, into Ananga, without body. Subtler meanings are, who are moving towards enlightenment, your desires are controlled, and your vasanas, subtle desires, are led to be burnt up by knowledge. I will not go into that detail at this stage. But this is, every word that is being used has a story about it in Shiva Purana. And O Lord, Sadar Japahu, you yourself repeat the divine name day and night. Arati, Hindi word, derived from Ahoratri. Aharnish. Aha relates to day. Ratri, night. Ramu so avadh nirpati sut soyi, ki aj aguna alakh gati koi. This is her question. Is Rama, son of the king of Ayodhya, that's son of Dasharatha, or is he Aja, unborn, Agun, beyond all modes of nature, beyond all attributes? Alak, literally meaning he who cannot be seen. The term seen simply implies he cannot be perceived by your senses or known by your mind, beyond mind and senses. John niptanayata brahma kimi, nari viraham ati bhori, dekhi charit mahima sunat, brahmati buddhi ati mori. If Rama is son of a king, how can he be Brahman, whose intellect was deluded because of being separated from his wife? Seeing Rama's mystical character and having heard of his amazing glory, my intellect is whirling. That's, people get confused when they hear Brahman alone is real. Brahma Satyam Jaganamithya, the whole world is false. And the mind tries to figure out how the world be false. And the mind cannot figure it out. Because everything that you know of is in the realm of relativity. Just like in your dream, suddenly if the idea came, what is this dream? Someone tells you this is a dream and it is false. But the dream has gripped your mind to such an extent, then you will start looking up, where did the world then come? If this whole thing is false, where did it come from? Look up, look down, look left, to the right. But all this looking doesn't help. What helps? Wake up. Similarly, don't allow your mind to be confused about all the history and the geography of the world and astrology and astronomy and all that. Understand how to wake up by developing intuitive intellect. And that requires your practice of sadhana, integral yoga in daily life. Jo ani vyapaka vibhuko, kahu bujhai nath mohiso. God is ani. Ani means without desires, desireless. Vyapak, all permeating. Vibhu, omnipotent. Is that Brahman someone else? Or Rama is that Brahman? O Lord, explain this to me. Let me remind you. In the practice of upasana, there are different levels. First level is Sagun Sakar. God is with form, like Rama, Krishna, with whole body from toes to the head. That's called Sakar. He has a form. Sagun, all great qualities, 1,000 names of the Lord. Next stage is Saguna Nirakar. As you advance in your mental process, you realize that Saguna form is symbolic. It is not to be taken literal. God has not been pictured, photographed by journalists. It has been presented as a basis for your mind to develop devotion. So as devotion advances, you are looking at Rama's picture, but your mind is flowing towards compassion of Rama, love of Rama, peace, spiritual majesty, and divine attributes. He's all permeating, all compassion. So when the mind moves into that level, that calls Sagun Nirakar. Now, if your mind advances further, you begin to understand all the good qualities you are thinking through your mind is conditioned by your mind. You may be using the best of literature. God is Satchidananda. What could be better literature? But what do you understand by saying God is existence absolute? What do you understand by that? God is pure consciousness. God is bliss. Therefore, calm down. Actual realization goes beyond words. So that movement called Nirguna, Nirakar. God has no form, no qualities. He's absolute, beyond the reach of mind and senses. And therefore this confusion starts. Though that is the reality, but for sadhana, you need to go through all the three stages. So when you are worshipping God as Saguna, do not become childish and go on keeping your mind confined to, oh, is this Rama, son of Dasharatha? Born so many thousand years back, Raghuvanshi. The answer will be from this Guru? Yes. It is the same Rama. Implying, don't stop there, go further. He is symbolizing the all-permeating divine self. And his story is bringing out the story of bondage and release. So therefore, in a storyline when Rama is wandering, showing tremendous despair because of being separated from Sita, mystically, soul that has developed spiritual sensitivity wants to be united with intuitive intellect. And as long as that is not attained, the soul plays the role of Rama in viraha state, separation state. And Viveka Buddhi, on the other hand, plays the role of grieving for Rama. Therefore, the stories of Ramayana have to be understood in a profound way. If Rama is described perfect from the beginning to end, he was born perfect, he lived through his life, and he took entire Ayodhya into the heavenly world. Ramayana is over. That Ramayana will not give you any inspiration. But Ramayana, where so much suspenseful story develops, story of Rama grieving for Sita, story of Rama grieving for Lakshmana when he lies unconscious. All human qualities in peril. And in spite of all that, spiritual movement is personified in Rama. Agya janidis uradan janidharahu, jehi vidhi moha betam soi karahu. Knowing me to be ignorant, do not be angry with me. This is the act of humility. The word for anger, ris. The ras, when you're enjoying it, enjoying anything, and that which makes you comfortable. Enjoying objects of pleasure called Vishaya ras. Enjoying stories in satsanga, it is katha ras. And ras is lots of ras. If you do deep meditation, you enjoy meditation, dhyana ras, bhakti ras. But if in your behavior you do something that strips a person of the ras, that creates a ris, that creates anger. मैं बन दीखी राम प्रभुताई, अति भय विकल न तुम्हि सुनाई, तदपि मलिन मन बोधुन आवा, सो फलु भली भांति हम पावा. In my previous birth, I saw the glory of Rama. Being extremely frightened, I didn't tell you all about it. He hid all that from Shiva. And due to impurity of mind, I could not understand Rama. And I reaped the fruit of my negative character. Ajahu kachu sansau madamore, karahu kripa binavau karajore, prabhu tab mohi babhu bhati prabodha, nath so samuji karahu jani krodha. Even now I have some doubt. Now at this stage, Parvati Devi is playing a part for helping all humanity. Because as a result of Parvati's asking, Shiva will tell the story of Rama. And she wants to bring out that story to the world. I have in my mind some doubt. Please be gracious. With folded hands, I pray to you. You have tried to make me understand in my previous birth, explained all this again and again, and yet that doubt didn't move away. So please do not be angry with me. Tab kar as vimoha ab nahi, Rama katha par ruchi badamahi. Parvati clarifies herself. Now I do not have that type of delusion. But now I have tremendous interest in listening to the story of Rama. Kaho puneet Rama guna gatha, Bhujagaraj bhushan suranatha. O Lord, you hold Kundalini Shakti as your adornment. You are the Lord of all gods. Please relate to me the qualities, Gunagatha of Ram, the description of the qualities of Rama. Tell me the story of Rama that abounds with divine qualities. All spiritual literature is Rama Gatha, story of Rama. Mandam pad dhari dharani suru, vinay karam karajori, varanahu raghubara vishad jasu, shruti siddhanta nichori. Placing my head on the floor, I offer adorations to your lotus feet. With folded hands, I pray to you. Please describe the glory of Rama, kirti of Rama, fame of Rama, that fame which is absolutely pure and purifying, extracting the juice of all the Vedas and Upanishads. Nichod karte. Jatapi joshita nahi adhikari, dasi man karma bachana tumhari. Being a woman, I am not qualified to listen to this profound Vedic teaching. That's again this social concept. Old times, men were sent to study. And if you don't hear the name of women, somehow they appear. Madalasa. But very few. But that has nothing to do with the Vedic statement. When Veda says, Stri is not entitled to divine wisdom. Stri refers to consciousness, confined to three illusions: seer, seen, and sight. And all souls are Stri. God is Purusha. That God, Purusha, is one absolute. There are no many husbands. All souls are women. And God is the only husband. This profound statement of the scriptures have been misinterpreted by the masses for a long, long time, creating a lot of havoc. And that's the story of all the demoniac things that are happening in the world in the name of religion. The real source of religion is totally different. Dasi mankram bachan tumhari. Another point is, in order to become spiritual, develop devotion to God. The devotion to God, again, is a progressive movement. And you begin to enjoy a mystic taste called rasa. I'll just point out to you, the devotion is, from a very broad point of view, 5 types. Shanta rasa. You are devoted to God, but you don't express it in any particular way. It's abstract. Vatsalya bhav. Devoted to God, God as a child, and you are a parent. Or turn it the other way around, God is the father, and you are a baby. Or God is a mother, or you are a baby. Vatsalya. Next one is dasya. You are a slave, God is the master. Next one is sakhya, friendly. God is someone who can open your heart without any hesitation. And God is madhurya, sweet. And that's the profoundest love of God. Of these, dasya comes very easy. That's the basis. Develop a sense of serving the Lord, becoming an instrument in the divine hand. So that's what Parvati Devi says, Dasi manakram bachan tumhari. I am your maid servant. In action, manasa vacha karmana. Through the mind, through the words, through actions. Gudhau tattva na sadhu duravahi, arata adhikari jaha pavahi. Saints and sages, when they find a proper aspirant, qualified aspirant, they do not hide a spiritual profound truth. They open up that truth for the aspirants to understand the truth. That applies in a very broad way. If you are teaching mathematics to your child, you will not open up advanced mathematics book to an 8-year-old child. You will teach according to the level of the child. So the saints and sages teach according to your level. Different teachings, same Ramayana, Different teachings are drawn from it to suit different levels. But when you are fully qualified, then nothing is hidden from you. You are being led to the highest interpretation. Ati arati puchhaun suraraya, Raghupati katha kahu karidaya. With great artha bhav with great eagerness, and with great humility, I am asking, O Lord of gods, relate to me the story of Rama. First tell me, what led Nirguna Brahman who is beyond its attributes, to assume human form with attributes? How did Nirguna Brahman become Saguna Brahman? Puni Prabhu kahu Rama avatara, Balacharita kahu udara. Then tell me about Rama's avatar, how this divinity descended. Tell me about his childhood stories, all the things he did as a child, up to being a teenager. Kahu jatha janaki vivahi, rajataja so dushan kahi. Tell me the story of his marriage, how he was wedded to Janaki, Sita. Tell me, for what reason, for what fault was he banished to the forest? Ban basikin hai charita apara, kahu nath jimi Ramana mara. And abiding in the forest, he performed so many exploits, so many leelas. He did so many divine activities, leading to the destruction of Ravana. Tell me, how did he destroy Ravana? O Shankara, Lord Shiva is called Shankara. Shang term relates to auspiciousness, goodness. Kara, one who promotes. Satyam Shivam Sundaram, he who promotes truth, auspiciousness, and divine beauty. He is Shankara. Bahuri kahu karunayatan, kinjo acharajaram. Tell me, O Lord of compassion, abode of compassion, all the startling things, divine things that Rama performed. Praja sahit raghu vanshamani, kimi gavane nijadham. And Ramayana ends with the Rama, along with all his subjects, he withdrew himself to the absolute realm. Puni Prabhu kahu satatva bakhani, jahi vijnana magana muni jnani. Then explain to me the subtle truth that sages and saints want to realize with intense aspiration. Bhagati jnana vijnana viraga, puni sabvaranahu sahita vibhaga. And this relate to me all about bhakti. bhakti, devotion, jnana, knowledge, vijnana, the process of realization, vairagya, dispassion, all about integral yoga. And with this I will conclude. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.